Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. Welcome to the Perez family and the preparation for the Bar Mitzvah, God willing. So we're looking forward for it, B'ezrat Hashem. So we're continuing in the Halachot of Rishon and Gimel. I want to first just clarify something small that I said at the end of yesterday's shiur. I said that you're allowed to take your, let's say, pot of food and put it anywhere you want on Shabbat if the place that you're putting it will never get to a heat of Yad Solidipo. You'll never get to a heat of a point where you'll remove your hand because it's so hot from that pot. Because we're talking about the whole time, can I place my pot on the gas, in the oven, etc. So let's say beside the oven or beside a hot plate or beside a blech, I want to put my pot. So if it's not going to get hot there, we said we could put it wherever you want. The only maybe exception is not to put it back in the oven on Shabbat. Let's say even if the oven's cool already, because then that's an issue of michzik mevashel. It looks like you're cooking. That's what we do. We open ovens, we put food in, we close the door, and now it looks like on Shabbat that you're cooking, and therefore even if it's going to be cold, then one cannot do that because of looking like it's cooking. And the second point is just to kind of zoom out a moment. We've been talking this last few days, and a little bit review, and then talk about crockpot for a moment. So to kind of review the what's going on over here is back in the day, we even now, like we mentioned, we have the minhag of having a dafina, having a chamin, having a food that started preparation before Shabbat, continues into Shabbat. And our chachamim, like that's what we're supposed to have on Shabbat morning, a hot food that started the day before. But our chachamim were worried, shema yechateh, you might come and stoke the coals. So back in the day, it was a coal oven, and coals, as we know, if you just leave it like that, it's going to cool down. So stoking the coals is what revives it again. So we're worried about that. Now, the worry was not that you're going to come and add coals, but the worry was that you're going to come and stoke the coals. And therefore, comparing that to an oven nowadays, number one is the heat of the oven stays the same, or any heating element that we have, basically the fire's staying the same the whole time. It's not hiring and lowering like coals, unless you actually use coals today, right, for that. But generally, our heat stays the same. That's number one big difference. And the second big difference is if, let's say, I were to hire the flame on Shabbat, then that is compared to like adding coals, which our chachamim were not worried about, that you're going to come and add coals. So maybe there's not a worry that I'm going to come and hire the flame. So Rabbi Yosef says that really, because our ovens are not comparable to the ovens of back then, technically, you don't need anything to show as a covering or anything. So this that we're talking about, each of these coverings is the proper way. Nachon le'achmir. It's one should be stringent in doing some sort of covering to remember that, hey, maybe I shouldn't touch a knob or anything. So we said even if it's a piece of foil or anything like that, that it should be that way. But he says lelamed zechut al bnei Yisrael, for those that don't do anything, and they, let's say they warm straight onto the fire that was existing there, right? Or they leave their food, their dafina boiling from the night from Friday on straight on the fire without any separation. Lamid zchut, to show that it is incomparable to the ovens back then. It's still technically okay. It's not like a person now can't eat from that or anything like that. But one should, again, like we said, have a blech, have a metal covering, etc. So now plugging that back into another type of cooking place is the crockpot. So the crockpot, the fire is not revealed at all. It's in the walls and the bottom of this metal piece. So number one, you can say it's already covered. So I don't need to do anything else. And really, by the letter of the law, it's true. You don't need to do anything else technically. Ideally, to be nachon la'achmir, the proper way is to be stringent and to put something to remind you of not touching and covering the fire and not touching the knob. So number one is if either you want to cover the knobs, that's number one, or if you take a piece of foil and just put it through where you see it sticking out on both sides, so you see, there's something covering the fire here. Like the element is the fire, even though it's already covered. You don't see an actual fire. It's embedded in the metal walls, but to do something to show that you're covering the fire. So even if you're not covering the knobs, which would be ideal, because that's where you could actually control up and down or anything like that, but even something like a piece of foil to put it through to show that I'm covering the element, so to speak, so that is also good. Now, crockpots get into another question, which we're not going to deal with today, but the question of insulation, hatmana, which is a later topic where one's not supposed to insulate his foods on Shabbat. So maybe we've grown up with grandmothers that would put towels around food, pots and things like that. So how to do that for Shabbat, etc. We'll get into that in a different topic. But a crockpot has that issue because it's basically insulated. The actual pot is insulated as opposed to just being cooked on from the bottom. We'll talk about that. Okay, that's that for today. Mincha at 6:45. We have the Zoom Parasha Shiur today at 3:30. And unfortunately, no Haftarah today Shiur. I'm sorry, I have a conflict tonight. But B'ezrat Hashem, we'll get back to the Shiur soon. That's it. Have a good day, everyone. Turn the video.